Good afternoon and welcome to the July Cattle, Sheep, and Goats Briefing. My name is Lance Honig and I serve as Chair of the Agricultural Statistics Board at NASS. This briefing is for the Secretary of Agriculture and other policymakers at USDA to better understand the content and context of today's reports. We are pleased to have Dr. Seth Meyer, USDA's Chief Economist, joining us as Secretary Designate today. Several of our staff from across the country provided valuable assistance as we prepared for today's reports. So thank you to Brenda, Brianna, Carol, and Darcy. Before I turn things over to our presenter, I do have a few notes for our live streaming audience. The cattle report is a key statistical report. The Office of Management and Budget provides specific instructions on how this important report is to be released. OMB statistical policy instructs policymakers to refrain from making public comment regarding the content of this report within 30 minutes of its release. Therefore, we will not be taking questions from the public during this briefing. However, NASS staff are available for phone or email questions. We strive to have everything presented in this briefing match the official record. However, should there be any discrepancy, always refer to the official published estimates. With that, I'll turn things over to Travis Averill, Chief of the NASS Livestock Branch. Travis.
Thank you, Lance. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the January 2025 Cattle and Sheep and Goats Agricultural Statistics Board Briefing. First, I'll start with the January cattle survey and provide an overview of the process. Approximately 36,100 operations were surveyed in all 50 states. Each state's sample size is provided on the map here. Data collection started on the 31st of December and went through the 15th of January. Normal collection methods were used to gather the data through mail, internet, telephone, and face-to-face interviews. The primary data items were total inventory by class, all cattle on feed, along with the calf crop. This slide provides 3 snapshots of the drought conditions over the last 10 months in the United States. As you can see in the top left-hand corner, as of January 2nd, 2024, moderate drought was at 35%, severe drought was at 15%. So there's approximately 50% impact in the U.S. Those areas being the southern, central, and western part of the country. Then you move to the top right-hand corner are the conditions as of July 2nd, 2024. There was less drought impact as moderate had decreased to 14% and severe was at 3%. Whereas the central portion of the U.S. had improved, though drought conditions continued in various areas throughout the U.S. At the bottom is the recent map of December 31st of 2024. Drought conditions changed to where moderate was at 33% and severe drought was at 2%. So we're at 43% to end the 2024 year, whereas we started the year at 50%. So there was slight changes, but the large part of the Southwest, Mountain West, and the central portion of the U.S. were impacted by the drought conditions. So for revisions, U.S. cattle and calves, all inventory and calf crop estimates from July 1, 2023 to January 1, 2024 were reviewed using final calf crop, official slaughter, death loss, and updated import and export data. This table provides an overview of the revisions for July 1, 2023 calf crop. As the table has initial estimates, current revisions, net revisions, and the last column is the current estimate. For the 2023 calf crop, the net revision is a decrease of 0.7%, and current estimate is at 33.6 million head. There were no revisions to the all cattle and calves inventory for July 1, 2023, nor the January 1, 2024. Cattle and calves in the U.S. as of January 1, 2025 are at 86.7 million head. That is down 0.6% from 2024. In the bottom left-hand corner are the top 5 states. for cattle in the United States. As you can see, Texas is the number one at 12.2 million head. They're up 1.7%. Whereas the other top 4 states are actually shown in red. They're down from previous year. That's being Nebraska, Kansas, California, and Oklahoma. At the bottom is the chart of the U.S. all cattle and calves for January 1 from 2005 to present. The current cattle cycle started in 2014 at 88.2 million head of cattle, and we're currently at 86.7. The previous cattle cycle started in 2004 at 94.4 million and peaked 3 years later in 2007 at 96.6 million. Just a note, a reference, as we're talking about all cattle and calves in the United States, this is the lowest inventory since January 1 of 1951. So here's a map of the United States for January 1, 2025 cattle and calves. With comparisons to 2024, the top number is the inventory as a unit of 1,000 head. The bottom number is a percent change from 2024 inventory. For the 50 states published, 15 states are increasing from the previous year. Those are in blue. The darker the magnitude, the larger the percent changes from 2024 inventory. There's 25 states in red. Those are decreasing from 2024 inventory. And there's 10 states unchanged from last year, and those are in gray. Just a couple of notes to take away from the map here. We have 1 record high, that's in Alaska. 2 record lows being in Maryland and Vermont. January 1, all cows and heifers that have calved are at 37.2 million head, down 0.4% from previous year. Beef cows are at 27,864,000 head, down 0.5% from last year. Milk cows are up 2,500 head from last year at 9,349,300 head. In the bottom left-hand corner is a chart of the U.S. beef cows for January 1 since 2005. This is very similar to the all cattle cycle chart that I showed earlier. The beef cows peaked in 2019 at 31.6 million head in the current cycle. And to the right is a chart of the U.S. milk cows for the same reference period. Milk cow inventories range from 9 million to 9.5 million over this time frame. The last time beef cows for January 1 was this low is back in 1961. All heifers 500 pounds and over for January 1, 2025 are at 18.2 million head, down 0.8% from previous year. All 3 components of the heifer inventories are down year over year. Beef replacement heifers are at 4.7 million head, down 1%. Milk replacement heifers are at 3.9 million, down 0.9%. Other heifers are at 9.6 million. They're down 0.6%. At the bottom is a chart of the all U.S. Heifers for January 1 since 2005. This mirrors the peaks and valleys of the all cattle cycle. Next, we have the steers 500 pounds and over, and the bulls 500 pounds or over, and along with the calves weighing less than 500 pounds as of January 1, 2025. Steers 500 pounds and over at 15.8 million head, down 1% from 2024. Bulls 500 pounds and over are down 1.1% from last year at just over 2 million head. Calves weighing less than 500 pounds are at 13.5 million head and down 0.2% from previous year. At the bottom is a chart illustrating the 3 breakouts by class, inventory by class, steers and bulls and calves. Bulls are orange, the blue represents the steers, and the gray are for the calves since 2005. Next, we have the U.S. calf crop. The calf crop for the first half of 2024 is at 24.6 million head, down 0.4% from previous year. July 1st to December 31st, 2024 calf crop is at 8.9 million head, up 0.8% from previous year. The annual calf crop for 2024 is at 33.5 million head, down 0.1% from previous year. At the bottom is a chart of the annual calf crop since 2004. Let's take a look at trade expectations compared to NASS estimates and the percent of a previous year. Trade ranges are gray, trade averages are the black circle, and the NASS estimate is the red square. 4 inventory classes provided, all cattle and calves, all cows and heifers that have calved, but beef cows and milk cows are all within trade expectations, along with the 1,000+ feedlots that they're within trade expectations, whereas the calf crop for 2024 is above trade expectations. Cattle and calves chart of ASB first estimates versus final estimates since 2015. The ASB first and final estimates are the blue and red line respectively. The trade ranges are illustrated with the light gray. Next, I'd like to provide an overview of the 2024 slaughter for heifer and cow slaughter as a percent of total slaughter. In 2024, the all cow slaughter accounted for 17.9% of the total slaughter. That is down from 20.5% in 2023. Heifer slaughter accounted for 32%. That is up from the previous year's percentage of 31.1%. Typically, for when cow slaughter is below 18% of total slaughter and heifer slaughter is below 28%, we can typically see cattle expansion going on. Unfortunately, right now, what's impacting that right now for expansion is the percent of heifers going into slaughter right now. Next, here is a chart with comparisons of female slaughter as a percentage on an annual basis with all cattle inventory of the following year. Female slaughter is the red line, and the cattle inventory of the following year is in blue. So you can see those peaks and valleys of the cattle inventory, what is going on with the female slaughter and those timeframes. U.S. cattle on feed, January 1, 2025, with comparisons to 2024, feedlots with a capacity of 1,000 head is at 11,823,000, down 0.9% from previous year. Feedlots with a capacity of less than 1,000 head is at 2,474,000 head, also down 0.9% from last year. The chart of for January 1, all cattle on feed since 2005, the lowest inventory was in 2014 at 12.9. The highest was in 2008 at 14.8 million head. Next, we have the U.S. feeder cattle supply for January 1, 2025, with comparisons to previous year. The calves under 500 pounds, as stated earlier, was at 13.5 million. The combination of steers and other heifers 500 pounds and over is at 25.4 million head. The feeder cattle supply is the sum of the 3 inventory components. Total supply is at 38.9 million, 0.6% below the 2024 total of 39.1 million head. As I stated on the previous slide, all cattle on feed is at 14.3 million head. The calculated feeder cattle supply is 24.6 million head, down 0.5% from the 24.7 million in 2024. As you can see, the cattle feeder supply for January 1 here, 6 million this year to as high as 27.8 million in 2007. Getting into the data, I'd like to provide an overview of the January 2025 sheep and goat survey. Data collection started on December 31st and finished on January 15th. Approximately 25,000 operations were surveyed in all 50 states. Data collection the same as the cattle process. Primary data items were asked were total inventory by class, the lamb and kid crop. Note there were no revisions to the 2024 January sheep and lambs inventory, nor the 2023 lamb crop. As of January 1, 2025, all sheep and lambs in the U.S. are at 5,050,000 head, up 0.3% from 2024. At the bottom is a chart of the U.S. all sheep and lambs for January 1 since 2005. To the left of the chart are the top 5 states in sheep and lamb inventory with the color of the number denoted if the inventory had increased, that being in blue, unchanged being black, red numbers inventory are down from previous year. So you can see Texas, California, Colorado, Wyoming, and Utah are the top 5 states for sheep and lambs in the U.S. Here is a map of the United States for January 1, 2025 sheep and lambs inventory with comparisons to 2024. The top number is a unit of 1,000 head. The bottom number is a percent change from previous year's inventory. We have 32 states on the map. 13 states are increasing from previous year, and those are in blue. 16 states are decreasing from 2024, and those are in red. 3 states are unchanged from last year. Just a note that a little difference from the cattle map is that New England is down from previous year. We cannot denote New England on our map, and the other states are up from previous year. January 1 breeding sheep and lambs are at 3,680,000 head, up 0.3% from 2024. Replacement lambs are unchanged at 635,000 head. Ewes are at 2,880,000 head, up 0.3% from last year. And rams are unchanged at 165,000 from 2024. At the bottom is a chart illustrating the lambs, ewes and rams for January 1 since 2005. The blue represents the lambs, ewes are in orange, and gray are for the rams. The U.S. lamb crop for 2024 is at 3,040,000 head, up 0.3%, kind of a theme, 0.3% for the sheep portion at the U.S. level from previous year. At the bottom is a chart of the annual lamb crop since 2004. We have been on a decline for numerous years now. Note there are no, so let's move over to the goat portion of the sheep and goat survey. There were no revisions to the 2024 goats and kids inventory, nor the 2023 kid crop. As of January 1, 2025, all goats and kids in the U.S. is at 2,507,000 head, up 1.5% from 2024. At the bottom is a chart of the U.S. all goats and kids for January 1 since 2009, as the program started back then. So there's a little differences of when program started and why time series differ a little bit from the 3 species that we're talking about today. January 1 goats and kids are at 2,065,000 head, up 1.5% from 2024. Replacement kids are unchanged from last year at 374,000 head. The does are at 1,539,000, up 1.9% from 2024. Bucks are up 1.3% from last year at 152,000 head. At the bottom is similar to the sheep is the breakouts by kids, does, and bucks for January 1 since 2009. The kids are in blue, the does are in orange, and gray represents the bucks over that time series. The U.S. kid crop, the 2024 kid crop is at 1,516,000 head, down 0.5% from 2023. At the bottom is a chart of the annual kid crop since 2009. Highlight of selected upcoming NASS reports. As you can see in front of you today, we also have the agricultural prices and peanut prices report. On February 3rd, we'll do the fair report for cotton systems, fats and oils, flour, millings, and grain crushings. Crop production will be released on February 11th, February 14th, farms and land and farms. February 21st will be cattle on feed, the annual data along with the milk production. That will be an annual report too. On February 26th, monthly cold storage report. Just a reminder, the 101st Annual Agriculture Outlook Forum will be held February 27th and 28th in Crystal City Gateway Marriott with an option to attend in person or virtually. Registration is open. The link is provided in today's briefing. All the reports are available at the NASS official website. I appreciate everyone attending today's live streaming session for January cattle, sheep, and goats agricultural statistics board briefing. Thanks again and have a great afternoon. This concludes